Hello and welcome. In today's video we are going for a slightly different format than the usual. There is too much to be said about Omicrons to just put it as text over the video. So I'm doing this new format. We're going to go for a tier list of all the Omicrons in 3 vs 3, my take on it. If you're unfamiliar with tiers, S tier is the best, and from A, B, C down to D being the worst. And with that in mind, let's get started. So our first Omicron is Ackbar Omicron. So his lead gives 25 speed and 10% tenacity to all rebel allies, and whenever they use an ability that is not an attack, they call a random rebel ally to assist. Now with the Omicron, on top of that, all allies gain tenacity for 2 turns. Now this in and of itself is already pretty big, because it's not limited to rebels, so you apply this Omicron and you take him with any 2 characters, and you get a team that will resist all debuffs for 2 turns unless the enemy team has a dispel. And then on top of that, and this part is limited to rebel allies, whenever an ally's buff expires, that ally will gain 3% turn meter. And when they use an ability that is not an attack, all the allies will recover 5% health, and instead of calling 1 random ally to assist, they call the 2 other weakest allies. Now in 3 vs 3 this is huge, because this means, in a rebel team will always be 3 characters, right, in 3 vs 3, so you will always call the other 2 to assist whoever they are. And on top of that, they will have their cooldowns reduced by 1. So for example, if you take Ackbar, Leia, and Chupio, you will get a ton of assist, a ton of cooldown reduction, so you will always be able to use your specials. One thing that you should know is that attacks that count as abilities that count as not being an attack are actually pretty specific, as in any ability that applies a debuff is considered as an attack. So for example, Chupio's first special will not call us any assist. If you use 3PO, his basic applies expose, so not considered as a non-attack ability. Same goes for his special because it applies confusion. So yeah, you gotta be careful about that, but for example, Ackbar, Leia, and CLS would work pretty well. CLS, every time he switches stance, it's considered as a non-attack, and so it would call the other 2 to ally, and so on and so forth. So on its own, Ackbar's Omicron is already pretty good, but when you add Leia on top of that, it becomes really, really strong. Right, Leia, so her unique is already a Zeta, so you will need the Zeta as well as the Omicron. And if you're going to do one, I really recommend that you do both, because they really synergize very well together in 5 vs 5 and even more so in 3 vs 3. Right, so her unique will give her crit chance up to all rebel allies whenever she attacks, and she recovers 5% health and protection. When you apply the Omicron on top of that, she will also grant retribution for 2 turns and tenacity for 2 turns. What does this mean? This means you cannot stun them or daze them, and if you hit them, they will hit back. And when these buffs expire, with Ackbar lead, so that will be 3% turn meter gain for all rebel allies. And on top of that, her health and protection recovery is no longer limited to herself, but goes on everyone. So the 2 of them together, I really think that they are A tier at the very least. Like they are top of the A tier, almost S tier. They're really, really, really good Omicrons in 3 vs 3. 5 vs 5 they'll probably go down 1 tier or 2, but for 3 vs 3 they're really good there. Alright, next up we've got Chirpa. So Chirpa's lead, the lead will give 20% turn meter and 10% extra damage on basic for Ewoks. And whenever they use a special ability, they have 60% chance to call another random Ewok ally to assist. Instead, with the Omicron, they get 30 bonus speed on top of that, and instead of dealing 10% more damage, you will deal 50% more damage on the basic, and the assist is guaranteed. Unfortunately, this Omicron is not very good in 3 vs 3. It is a really good Omicron for 5v5, because you have the full team. You need Paplu, you need Wicket, you need Logray, you need the Elder, you need everyone. This team is completely based on running a turn meter train on the enemy. The 30 bonus speed at the beginning allows you to go first, and then you never stop going. Unfortunately, with only 3 Ewoks, you will not have a perfect turn meter train, and as soon as it breaks, you will get run over. So, for me, this is C tier. This doesn't go any higher than that. Sorry, Chirpa, but it's really a 5v5 Omicron more so than the 3 vs 3. Next, we've got Talon. Talon is the same issue. Her Omicron is entirely based around Isolate and Pain, and as you know, this comes from Traya and Cyan, and they work best with Nihilus. So you would not take out Nihilus to put Talon in, like it would take something away just to add something instead. So yeah, this one is actually really good in 5 vs 5, You can actually take down Lord Vader with Traya, Nihilus, Cyan, Darth Vader, and Talon. Fatal might have made a video about that. He's the one who invented this team. So in 5 vs 5 it is a very good Omicron at high relic levels, but in 3v3 it's worthless. So I would put it as C tier. But almost D tier, because it's double use and you will never actually get any use of that in 3v3. Then we've got Dash. So Dash in 5v5 was pretty good, but I would say it's even better in 3 vs 3. In 5 vs 5, because of how broken Dash is, you can just bring 4 scoundrel heavy hitters that apply debuffs and just plow through the enemy team. Omicron or not, I mean, they can't hit back if they are dead, so the fact that they lose prepare to regain it was not as good in 5v5 as I think it will be in 3 vs 3. Like if you take a team with him, L3 and Vendor, L3 is gonna taunt all the time because she will always be prepared. Vendor is always gonna be able to revive. And on top of that, they will get the bonus offense and other stats. So I think it's a pretty good Omicron. I would put it in A tier right after. I still believe those two are better than Dash. Taken individually, they would go down, but the two together are better than Dash's Omicron. And then we've got Krennic. So this one is actually interesting. I'm pretty sure most of you don't know about it or what it does. So let's go over it. It gives 30% bonus defense penetration, health and offense to both him and Death Trooper. And whenever Krennic attacks, he will call Death Trooper to assist and reduce his cooldowns by 1, which means that Death Trooper will always be able to use his grenade and his terminate, which both, the first one increases enemy cooldowns and dispels all their buffs, and the second applies Death Mark. And the most important part is that they will both be able to ignore taunt. So for example, against Dash, L3 and Vendor, they can go straight for Vendor. So I think this is actually a very interesting Omicron that can go to B tier, almost A tier. It's especially if you geared him up for Sith Eternal Emperor, you will have it laying around. And with his lead, which gives bonus protection recovery to Empire allies whenever they score critical hits, I think this can make a very good team. Him, Death Trooper, and the third one maybe Short Trooper to take the hit off of them or something like that. There could be some very interesting, or TIE Fighter Pilot, because he always crits. You could do some very interesting stuff with him. So I'm looking forward to people getting that one and trying it on. I think it has potential. Then we have Iden. She was one of the best in 5 vs 5, and I think she's going to be one of the best in 3 vs 3 as well. Even if it's only 2 extra troopers instead of 4, they will still get the extra max health and protection, which will help them survive longer. And they will also get the health and protection recovery whenever an enemy attacks out of turn, and the turn meter gain. So that would allow you to take down Mon Mothma squads in 3v3. You would get a little less turn meter gains, granted, because there will be 4 enemies instead of 6. But still, that's gonna be pretty consequent on top of the health and protection recovery. On defense, it would also be quite annoying to fight against Steel. You might be able to take down CLS, Han and Chewie as well, so this one I would probably put it in S tier. It's a really, really good Omicron. Then we've got Qui Gon. So for Qui Gon, again, fantastic Omicron. Top 3 in 5 vs 5, and then it's the same in 3 vs 3. You put him with fast Anakin and Ki-Adi-Mundi on defense, and I'm not sure anything less than a Galactic Legend can take it down. And you use it on offense, you put him and Anakin plus a Trash Jedi to trigger the Anakin's unique, and again you got a team that's able to take down much stronger teams. So this one I would put it as S tier as well, in front of Iden. He's stronger than Iden, especially in 3 vs 3. All you need is an Anakin and you're good to go. Then we've got Rose. So Rose was already a joke in 5 vs 5. Right, and her Omicron, all it does add is 10% offense for each exposed enemy, and 5% turn meter whenever resistance ally scores a critical hit. So this is intended to make Finn's lead a little stronger by building towards the perfect turn meter train, but like I told you, in 3 vs 3 you cannot have a turn meter train the way you could in 5 vs 5. So this is D tier, this is trash. Like don't do that, don't do it. It's just a waste. And next up we've got Starkiller. So Starkiller, of course, he's unique. probably the best Omicron in the game. Right, it completely changes the dynamic of the team in 5 vs 5, and they added something for 3v3. Right, so you just need to have one Sith and one Unallied Force user, or one Jedi and one Dark Side Unallied Force user. Like you can have any combination of the ones you were supposed to use in 5v5, and you have a team that works. So that means we're gonna have even greater diversity in the Starkiller teams, both for offense and defense. So a lot of creative potential in there, which puts it by far as the best Omicron in the game. Like, so it's not even like it's a wide margin between him and everyone else. And then we have his other two Omicrons. This one, it just applies buff immunity and healing immunity that actually all it does is that they cannot be copied, dispelled, or resisted. Because he already applies them, the Omicron just makes them that they cannot be dispelled or resisted. And it dispels or debuffs on all allies, but only while unleashed. So, and usually when you get unleashed, the battle is already over. So this one is quite useless. I would put it as C tier at best. It's, yeah, together with probably before Talon, because you must still get some use of it in some matchup, but yeah, don't do this one. It's really not that worth it. The other one is a little better. Right, instead of just dispelling the buff on one target, it dispels them on all enemies and deals more damage, because it's based on how many buffs were dispelled. Now it's not as strong as 5v5 because we will have less enemies to dispel buff from, but it's still pretty decent Omicron. I would put it at D tier. Really, you just need this one. This one is like, it's a nice addition for some matchups, but most of the time you don't need the extra damage, so not that worth it. Alright, and then we've got the new one, last one in town, Tusken Raider. Personally, I applied this Omicron yesterday. I think it's a pretty good one, especially if you have a Relic 5 Tusken Raider because of Lord Vader requirements. My other two are gear 11. I don't think they needed higher than that. So you might not know what it does. It will give taunt to Tusken Raider at the beginning of each enemy turn. On top of that, whenever he dies, if there is another Tusken ally alive, he comes back. And it gives 15% crit chance, crit damage, and 3 speed to all Tusken allies for each living ally. So if you have, and he will summon a copy of himself at the beginning of the battle. So you will have 4 Tuskens in battle, which means 60% bonus crit chance, 60% bonus crit damage, and 12 bonus speed. And whenever he dies, all ally cooldowns are reduced by 1. And so if I understand that correctly, since if there is another ally active, he comes back, unless you kill both the raiders on the same turn, they will always come back and keep attacking. The other option is to bring someone that prevents revives. That would work as well. But that still limits quite a lot the counters. Although I don't think you should put that on defense, especially if your other 2 Tuskens are not high relic level, because you will just get taken apart by any team with a decent AoE. I think you can use that on offense, and I think it can even possibly take down Jedi Master Kenobi with Cat. Because people are going to set Jedi Master Kenobi, Cat, and General Kenobi on defense, which means no AoE, so they have no way to take down the Tuskens. Which means with enough time, the Tuskens should be able to win against Jedi Master Kenobi. The only question I would have about that is the risk of timing out. I'm not sure they would have enough damage to be able to kill them before Jedi Master Kenobi heals them with his second special and his ultimate. But that is worth testing, and if it works, then it puts him in the S tier. But since I am not sure about that, for now we'll put it in A tier right after the 2 rebels. Right, and then we've got Wampa. Wampa, you probably know about him. Tied as the best Omicron in Grand Arena together with Starkiller. It's fantastic. You can take down full relic teams with just one character. You can even take down Sith Eternal Emperor. You can 1v1 Rey. You can do a lot of really cool stuff with him. He's great in 5v5. He's gonna be even better in 3 vs 3. So absolute S tier for this one, no question about that. And then the last one, let's finish with Zam. Unfortunately, she's the loser here. She's absolutely amazing in 5 vs 5 because she allows to trigger payouts against faster teams thanks to the bonus speed that she grants to bounty hunter allies, and that is not going to work in 3 vs 3. 3 vs 3 you cannot trigger payouts fast enough because you don't have enough bounty hunters, and so you will also lose out on the bonuses because she will have less allies. And so this Omicron is just, you can use it to like boost a little stat in one of your team, because in in herself, Zam is not that great. She's just great for the bonuses she provides. And if you put her in a 3-man team, she takes 1/3 of the slots, so you just have 2 other bounty hunters to do the job, and that's just not enough to justify the Omicron. So in 3v3, it's really not a good one. Probably, yeah, it's about the same level as Chirpa. I'll put her behind Chirpa, because Chirpa at least you get more assists, so you can get some kind of something working on with Wicket and Paplu, I would guess. But Zam, really, you're not gonna get anything useful out of that. So yeah, that's how I would rank the Omicrons for 3 vs 3. I will probably update that tier list once we've seen more of the gameplay, especially for some of them like Tusken Raider, the Rebels, and Krennic if I can get my hand on some footage. But that's pretty much how I would rank them. So I hope this will help you if you have an Omicron that you're waiting to use before the season starts. And I will catch you guys next time for our next video. Please like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Bye.